I'm gonna share with you a series I do every single night. I call it Sleep Well Yoga. It's really good if you have stress. Because what we wanna do is we wanna release tension in our bodies, because that's what stress tends to do, creates this. We wanna be able to release that physically, and then we can sleep really well. And we're gonna begin our Sleep Well series, and this is really just a series of stretches, and I'm actually gonna talk you through, you guys, why we're doing this. And I think sometimes it's powerful. Sometimes we just wanna feel the sensations and get into a zone, but I really want you to tune into the parts of the body that I want you to focus on, where we carry our stress. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna be lying flat, right? The feet are on the floor, the knees are bent, and I want you to take your arms into cactus arms. So that means the arms are at 90 degrees, right? The elbows. And you want to see if your elbows can be as high as your shoulder joint. So you're basically kind of creating this like goalpost kind of position. And then just notice if the back of your hands are touching the mat. Now for many people, I've noticed that this doesn't occur because the shoulder is very tight and the shoulder joint cannot rotate backwards enough to get that forearm and hand back. So just kind of notice that. This is kind of a before and after a little bit. Then bring your hands down. And we're going to roll over to the left side. So you're going to completely come to the left side with your knees bent like you're sitting in a chair. So you're completely on your left side. Your left arm is out in front of you. Just kind of a soft, arm. Doesn't have to be really super straight or bent. The palm is facing up. Your knees are in that 90-degree position. And now take your right hand to your right shoulder. That means your elbow's facing up towards the ceiling. The elbow's facing up towards the ceiling. Good. And now roll your shoulder and your elbow backwards. And we're doing a full rotation into your shoulder socket. Dina, I think it is. Go the opposite way. Yes, that's it. You want to feel the stretch the opposite direction. Think about when you sit a lot or you round forward a lot. Those pectoral muscles we're stretching right now, I want you to go backwards on those. Those are the ones we're trying to stretch open. Good. Now, if you want to, you can take the circle bigger, which means letting go of the hand on the shoulder and starting to make a bigger arc. The elbow still can be bent, but the arc in the circle actually is bigger. Roll it backwards. Think about, and the other, Deanna? Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, good. And now we're going to take that right arm all the way up to the ceiling, like you're trying to touch the ceiling, right? And you're going to pull that right arm back behind you 45 degrees. So that means it's not quite, shoulder angled and it's not quite down by the hips. It's 45 degrees, and then go back and forth into that. Like you go backwards on the exhale and then you come up, that hands towards the ceiling. And you go backwards, yeah. So this is the key angle for stretching the pectoral muscles the best. And then see if you can keep that arm back and see how much you can roll that right shoulder down towards the floor. Just try. If that arm is getting way too pulled, then bring your arm and bend your elbow into more like a cactus position. But you're trying to work that right shoulder towards the floor. So there's a little bit of a twist here. Your hips are still stacked. And now we're going to play with this top right leg. So see if you can extend your right leg out in front of you. It's still sideways, right? That leg is going to be out in front. You're going to flex the foot. If the knee is not perfectly straight, don't worry about it. And then notice what's going on with your right shoulder. If that's way too much of a stretch, then bring your hand back to your shoulder and just relax it. So the last movement here, you guys, is take your left hand and grab the top of your right knee, just on the outside of the right knee. This is where your IT band connects. So this can be a tight spot, so I want you to hold that right there on the outside of the top of your right knee, and then bend your right leg, right knee, and then straighten it out. And then bend it and straighten it. And as you do that, this is a subtle thing. Let's just try it. I want you to pull that right hip bone down when you straighten your legs. So you're going to bend your knee, and then you're going to pull that right hip bone down and away from you as you straighten your leg. Do that a few times. This is going to get into the QL muscle, which is a very tight muscle in our backs. Good. And then when the knees come back together, we're going to come and roll over all the way back on our backs. Find yourself adjusting back into that neutral position, because we're going to do the whole thing to the other side. So hopefully it's going to be a little bit easier this side. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to roll on over to the right side. Remember, we're going to have the right arm extended. The knees are in the 90-degree angle. The left hand is to the left shoulder. So first it's the warm-up, right? So we're going to take that elbow backwards, around and around. So it's not only the pectoral muscles that we're stretching, which are very important, but it's the whole rotator cuff. Many of you know that I teach to people that are, a little older, and they tend to have rotator cuff issues. So we want to keep these muscles pliable. Good, and then make the circle a little bigger by taking your hand off of your shoulder and just making the circle bigger. The arm can be perfectly straight, or it can just be an arc of the elbow bending. And just roll it around, good. There should be some pulling and tugging, but never any pain. If there's pain, just go back to the smaller movement. And now that left arm's going to face up towards the ceiling. And we're going to pull it back 45 degrees and then wave it back up towards the ceiling. Exhale, pull it back. This is the concept of feathering, which means we're not forcing a stretch, we're not holding a stretch, we're letting the body softly feel the stretch and letting the stretch go. And then as that arm goes back a little bit, see if you can drop that left shoulder down, left shoulder blade. Your body will twist a little bit in that. If that is not doable, take your hand back to your shoulder, come to a safe spot. And now we're going to extend that left leg, the one that's on top, extend it out. It's almost like your body just created a L-shaped position. Take your right hand to the outside of your left knee. That's the connection of your IT band. Your foot is flexed, and then you're going to bend that knee and then straighten it. So that little motion is stretching the IT band, which is a really hard place to stretch. Gets tight for people like tennis people like Scott, and runners and bikers and hikers, right? And then see what you can do with that left hip, right? You pull that left hip down like you're trying to stretch the left side of your body as you straighten that leg. And then gently releasing your arm and bringing your knees back to the center. Find your feet flat on the floor, readjust your back, and bring your knees into your chest. And then gently rock side to side. Now we're going to do one last little stretch. This one's for the psoas muscle. Remember, that's that really tight muscle in the front of your hips, your hip crease. It gets super tight when we sit a lot. So what we're going to do is we're going to place the feet on the floor. We're going to roll over to the right side, just kind of like we did just now. Roll over to the right. But this time the left leg is going to go straight and back behind us. It goes straight down towards the floor and back behind you. So you can feel that hip moving, good. And then see if you can roll on that left hip towards the floor. So you're kind of turning your body and you're rolling it towards the floor, yeah. And if you want to, you can take your left hand and bring it towards your right palm. I call this the arrow. So your body's like pointing like an arrow and you're just stretching the entire front and side of your body. Take a couple of breaths there. And then bend your knees and release your hands if they're touching each other, and we're going to roll on over to the other side. Now we're rolled on over to the left side. Your left arm is extended probably more like a 45-degree angle. And then the top leg, we're going to go straight and behind us. The toes are pointed. And then we're going to slowly roll our body towards the center, right? So we're trying to pull that right hip down towards the floor. And maybe the right arm's going to touch the left palm, and you're just going to breathe into that long, deep stretch. So all of these muscles we got into, the pecs, the shoulders, the hips, the IT band, all of those carry our stress. So we're just releasing that. And then gently bring your knee back so they touch together. And then we'll roll on over to the side again and back to the hips or flat on our backs. Bring both knees into your chest. And as you do so, I want you to bring the knees in and out. So if you ever have low back issues, this is the go-to pose for stretching your low back so safely. So the knees come in, the elbows are bent, the knees go out, and the elbows are straight. And for anybody who works on the computer, I add this little motion at the end of my little sequence, which really helps good. You're going to take those knees in as tight as you can and then bring your nose up to your knee to your nose. You're tucking your chin, and you're just going to hold and breathe there. Stretch the whole neck, middle back, and lower back. And lower down. Now the legs shoot up towards the ceiling. Knees can be bent. The arms shoot up towards the ceiling. This is an inversion, so we're just going to let all that old stale blood come back to the heart. So feel free to move the ankles and roll around the wrists. Soften your knees a little bit. Just be fluid. And then give everything a little shake out. And then we'll just do our little after pose. So just bend your knees. Take your arms now into the cactus position. Remember, the elbows are in line with the shoulders. And then just notice if there's any more opening in the front of your body. And if not, don't worry about it. It's a slow process. If you do this as often as you can, you'll find that your body will be much more supple, flexible, less stiff. And then we're going to come into our Shavasana pose. So straighten out the legs. Bring your arms now by your side with your palms facing up. And then you're just going to pause and just find that comfort. Separate your teeth. So many of you know that the basic theory of yoga is that our minds, our bodies, and our spirits are all interconnected. And so the state of our mind, anxiety, worry, stress, can affect the state of our body. And if the state of our body, if we're injured, can affect the state of our mind, and surely can affect our spirit too. So all three of those need to be nurtured. So when we can take the time to take care of our beautiful body, which is our vessel, and take the time to release some of that tension and tightness, then the mind starts to release some of that tension and tightness and worry. And when that happens, when the body is free from pain, when the mind is free from worry, and the spirit can relax and be free again and happy again. And yoga is called a practice for the reason it's truly a practice. There's never a destination. We can always start over again.